Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be reviewing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 38-10 win versus the Green Bay Packers. A lot of you guys said during the live stream reactions that this was the most fun you have had watching a game in a long time. Now, myself personally, I had probably just as much fun, if not more fun, watching the Rams game last year. That game was so much fun to watch. It also probably helped that that was the first ever MrBucsNation watch party that I had. I plan on having more of those in the future, but the point is that yes, this was an incredibly fun game to watch. It was pretty much all Bucs the rest of the way after that first quarter, 38 unanswered points, and this looked like a complete team win in its entirety. In the exact essence of the word, this was a team win. So we are going to get started here with the bad first before we talk about the good, and there was a ton of good. But starting with the bad, the first thing, that first quarter did not go very well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The offense was only out there for one drive. It stalled with a 3-and-out, and after that, the Packers literally had the ball for the remainder of the quarter. They scored 10 unanswered points, and they were just moving down the field at will. It was very not fun to watch. I saw a lot of people panicking in the live stream chat. I myself was not necessarily panicking, but I was definitely sitting there going, oh, okay, this definitely isn't a great start. Let's see how the team can bounce back. And they bounced back in a big way, because after that first quarter, it was all Bucs the rest of the way. But I did want to point out that first quarter because it was not a great start to this game. Next thing I do want to point out is that the Buccaneers still are not very good at screen passes. It wasn't the worst thing in the world in this game. They were getting, 3 to 7 yards per screen pass, but it can be so much better if this team will just learn how to block on screenplays. It is pretty darn frustrating to see offensive linemen, trying to work their way down the field, but not being able to find anybody to block, and defenders just getting to the ball carrier. It is so frustrating to see. This team could be so much better at the screen game if we just are able to get downfield and block the guys. But it's still a work in progress. They are still trying it, which means they're going to be trying it for the remainder of the season. Let's just hope that the screen game gets better for the remainder of this year. The second to last thing I want to mention is really a suggestion from you guys. It was drops. Not so much dropped passes. I believe the Buccaneers only had 2 dropped passes in this game, but dropped interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, quite frankly, could have been picked off 2 more times in this game, but dropped interceptions were, the main reason that didn't happen. We can't let takeaways slip through our hands, literally, in these types of situations, especially when you're playing a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. You can't let these opportunities go to waste. So, I know it's the old joke and the old stigma of, well, that's why they play on defense, because they can't catch the ball. I get that, but I still want to see these guys reel in some more interceptions. I believe Antoine Winfield Jr. dropped one, and Carlton Davis dropped one as well. Both guys who had phenomenal games in this game versus the Packers, but they could have had even better games if they both would have secured an interception each. So work on that a little bit. The last thing worth mentioning is that not really many targets for Mike Evans. He only had 2 targets in this game, 1 catch for 10 yards. Overall, pretty quiet day for every single wide receiver on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team outside of Rob Gronkowski and a little bit of Chris Godwin. So I'm not going to fault too much for that. Overall, the passing game didn't need to be, super crazy over the top in this game because everything else was taking care of itself. The defense was playing good. The run game was efficient. We didn't need to have a ton of passing yards and a ton of passing touchdowns today. Now, Tom Brady still had a good game, but I did want to point out the lack of targets for Mike Evans. But with all of that being said, let's move on to the good. Starting off with Jamel Dean, who was the player of the game for a while. He finished the game with 2 tackles, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, and 1 pass deflection. And that pick 6 by Jamel Dean really spelled the end for the Packers for the remainder of this game. Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions in 3 plays for the Green Bay Packers offense. The first interception being the Jamel Dean pick 6, and after that, it was all Buccaneers football. Literally, the Packers did not score another point after that first quarter where they scored 10 points. It was the defense the entirety of the way. The secondary played really good. The run defense continued to be phenomenal. And overall, it was just such a complete game from this Buccaneers team, and it all started with that Jamel Dean pick 6. So shout out to Jamel Dean for really setting the tone and bringing that momentum pendulum back over into the Buccaneers' favor after a really tough first quarter. That spelled the end for the Packers, essentially. Next player worth mentioning, Lavonte David, finished this game with 8 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 2 tackles for loss. Lavonte David's playing like the best linebacker in the NFL right now. He is insanely good at the footballs, and he continues to prove it every single week. Him and Devin White, who we will talk about here in a little bit, both played phenomenal in this game. And really, if Lavonte David does not get national recognition at this point, nothing will. And I think we are starting to see that more. I have no doubt that if he continues this play, he'll make the Pro Bowl. He may even be Defensive Player of the Year. I have no doubts about that in my mind. Lavonte David is that dude, and he is playing literally top tier football. He is playing like the best linebacker in the NFL. I will say that again. Next player I want to mention here is going to be Mike Edwards, who had 1 interception and 1 pass deflection as well. Again, really solid game from Mike Edwards. I thought that he came in for a couple of plays whenever Antoine Winfield Jr. left the game with an injury. He got an interception. It's so weird with Mike Edwards. He'll come in kind of as like a fringe starter guy only for a few plays a game, but he had a phenomenal interception a couple of weeks ago. He had an interception in this game as well. He's trying to prove that he is worth playing more, and if he keeps on making plays like this, yeah, that's justifiable. So overall, great day in terms of limited playing ability by Mike Edwards to get that second interception on Aaron Rodgers. Next player worth mentioning is going to be Tyler Johnson. 1 catch, 7 yards, and a touchdown. Just wanted to give a mention to the rookie for getting the first touchdown in his young NFL career. Congrats, rookie. You have earned it. Next player worth mentioning is going to be Rob Gronkowski, who finished this game with 5 catches, 78 yards, and 1 touchdown. Rob Gronkowski had a phenomenal game. He led the team in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and he even had a touchdown to boot. This was a Rob Gronkowski game where, he was doing Rob Gronkowski type things. It was great to watch. I thought he played phenomenal, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come for the remainder of the season. Now, we don't want Gronk to get hurt or anything. We need him to stay healthy. I will say that again. We need him to stay healthy. But overall, him getting the amount of targets he did, getting the receptions, getting the yardage, getting the touchdowns, he looked like old Gronk in this game, which I am all for. So let's hope that things can continue with the consistency between Brady and Gronk, and we can continue to see old Rob Gronkowski. Next player worth mentioning is, in my opinion, the player of the game, Ronald Jones, who finished this game with 23 carries, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. His third 100-yard rushing game in a row. He is the starting running back. I do not care what anybody says. I love Leonard Fournette. I love LeSean McCoy. I love Keyshawn Vaughn. They're all great running backs. Ronald Jones is proving that he does not need to be, sharing snaps and touches and things like that with other guys to a great amount. I can understand if you give Leonard Fournette a carry or 2 here. I can understand if you give LeSean McCoy a couple of snaps, Keyshawn Vaughn a couple of snaps, but Ronald Jones is that dude right now. 3 100-yard games in a row. That does not happen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers very often. Last guy to do that was, I believe, Doug Martin, is what you guys had told me in the live stream chat. So, phenomenal job by Ronald Jones. I was happy to put my seal of approval on him before the season, and he is playing some amazing football right now, and he'll probably hit 1,000 yards on the season, in my opinion. So, Ronald Jones, keep it going, man. Let's see you get to 4 100-yard games in a row, because it's awesome to see. Next player worth mentioning is going to be Tom Brady, who is 17 of 27 passing in this game, 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. Solid game by Tom Brady, right? Overall, an efficient performance. Nothing crazy, nothing over the top. He did what he needed to do, and he didn't need to do a whole ton. He didn't turn the ball over. He threw some touchdown passes, and he was efficient with his passing. That's all we needed from Tom Brady because the defense and the running game was doing the bulk of the work. So Tom didn't need to do a ton to really like drag the Buccaneers back from a deficit or anything because they're, point blank was not a deficit to be drugged back from. So overall, good job, Tom Brady, not turning the ball over, being an efficient game-managing quarterback for this game, and making a couple of plays when he needed to. So good job, Tom Brady. Next player worth mentioning, Raheem Nunez-Roche finished the game with 2 tackles. Not an insanely flashy stat line, but it was worth mentioning because he was filling in for Vita Vea, and I thought he did a pretty good job. Jason Pierre-Paul, 6 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. He is continuing to have a very awesome year as a pass rusher. Him and Shaq Barrett have been doing some pretty good things, more so Jason Pierre-Paul than Shaq Barrett. Hopefully Shaq Barrett can get some things going here soon, but Jason Pierre-Paul is going to hit 10 sacks easily for the remainder of this season. He is, I believe, at around 6 sacks now, so keep it going, JPP. You're doing some great things. Carlton Davis, 4 pass deflections and 6 tackles in this game. He did a great job of containing Davante Adams, as he's been doing all year with #1 wide receivers in the NFL. He's going to be getting a big contract when his rookie contract runs out, because right now he is playing like one of the better half cornerbacks in the entire NFL, and I am all here for it because he is my hashtag #1 corner. Next player worth mentioning is Devin White, 10 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. Much like Lavonte David, Devin White came back after a little bit of a rough week versus the Bears. He is playing like one of the better linebackers in the NFL, and I will say it again for all of you in the back, Lavonte David, Devin White make one of the better linebacking duos in the entire NFL, if not the best linebacking duo in the NFL. You cannot tell me otherwise. So Devin White, good job to you. Will Golston did not register any sacks or other stats in this game, but he was doing a good job of getting consistent pressure on Aaron Rodgers, so good job to him. Ndamukong Suh, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. He continues to make some noise, especially in the absence of Vita Vea, which is good. The Buccaneers will need him to do that for the remainder of this season. Ryan Suckup, he made all of his field goals. He made all of his extra points. Keep that up as well. And finally, I just want to give some shout outs to position groups. So first things first, the offensive line, 0 sacks allowed, 0 penalties. Good job, guys. This is the best this offensive line has looked years, literally years. This is the best this offensive line has looked. No joke. They did a phenomenal job protecting Tom Brady and doing some good things in the run game as well. Donovan Smith had a good game. I told you guys that I would point out when he does have a good game, so good job, Donovan Smith, for having a good game. The rest of the offensive line played exactly like expected. Even Alex Kappa had a good game as well. So shout out to all 5 of those guys along the offensive line. They all had a very, very, very good game. The best game I've seen from this offensive line in years. The defense under Todd Bowles, shout out to all of them. They held the Green Bay Packers so well after the first quarter. It was actually pretty insane to watch. They made Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable. They shut down the run game. They shut down Davante Adams. They did a great job. So thank you so much to the defense for going out there and performing at a very high level and just continuing to be one of the better defenses in the entire NFL. Then I want to obviously mention the penalties. The Bucs had 0. Just thought I would mention that again because that's a big deal. That doesn't happen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So 0 penalties. Phenomenal work, guys. And then finally, the last thing I want to mention is the uniforms. They had pewter pants with white tops today, and it looked great. And a lot of you guys wanted me to mention it in this video, so there you go. There's the mention. But guys, that's going to be it for this review. This was one of the most complete wins I've seen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in years. It was insane. It was absolutely awesome to see. Besides that first quarter, it was all Buccaneers. The Packers could do nothing, and I really hope we can keep this momentum moving forward for the Bucs' next game versus the Raiders. But guys, let me know your thoughts about this game down in the comment section below. What did you like? What did you not like? Leave me your thoughts about all the points that I made in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs!